What is that?
Don't let on. Don't let on. Good morning, all. Tell me what you see in the box. Keep it clean. What am I wearing this morning and why? And what's the significance? And how could it help us all to make lots of money? Answers on a postcard or in the chat box would be better. Morning, Indy. Hi, Julian in the UK. John looks good. John in the UK. Groovy. So you're showing your age, Dan. Uh, John's got it right. AI glasses. Mark Whitmore says Meta new glasses. Correct. Who else we got in this morning? Morning, Sasha. See you booked me for Sunday. Hi, Mark says Indy. And Paxi, morning to you. And Rich. And who else we got? Julian. Hilton, north of England. You'll be getting some of these glasses soon, Hilton. I can see it now. Frank and Farah in Malaysia. And Dan. And every week we do this, and we usually get half a dozen then drifting in the next few minutes. Oh, Khalid. Hi, Khalid. Morning to you. Oh, afternoon to you, I think. Who else just came in? Alexi. Hi, Alexi. In Japan, I think it's that Alexi. And right, well, Mark hit the nail on the head. Julie says, my new job as a fashion influencer. Me and fashion never been a thing. Right, Mark rightly spotted it, and John, I think. AI glasses, Meta, new glasses. What does it mean? And what's the relevance? And this popped up on my feed on Instagram this morning from Facebook, from Instagram. So, what's the connection? What's the connection? I'm going to show you in a little bit a while, but what is the significance of these Ray-Ban glasses? Anybody know? Mark, you know a little bit about it. How is this going to revolutionize the world? And I did tell you about this 3 years ago, and it's taken that long for the technology to now be out. Neural connection to the net. Ooh, now that's a mouthful, Mark. You must be from a tech background. To the rest of us, it means that you can connect to the internet through your glasses, like the Firefox movie, says Mark. Correct, yeah. AI stocks, Dan says, yeah. Meta enhanced vision, says Daz. Phoneless future, says Ashley. Yeah, for sure. I said to somebody the other week, you get people, my wife and I, as we're walking down the street, we get people walking towards us all the time with their heads down with the phone, and we kind of joke between ourselves, tree, because if they're not careful, they're going to walk into a tree. And I'm sure when we look back on this era, when you look back on this era with all the nonsense with the politics and everything else, we really had lost the plot. But the days of wandering around with your phone in your hand and having to look down at a screen are going to be gone. And these are baby steps at the moment. This was supposed to come out 2 years ago. These are Ray-Bans. And if you go onto the website, you can actually simulate. I thought it was going to simulate what you could actually see, but it's not. It's just what you'd look like in them. um, and yes, you've all been very kind. So the gist of it has been thus far to be able to enter the metaverse, which is a virtual world. And so, on a simplistic level, if you think of, for example, Zoom, rather than being sat in front of a camera facing each other, the idea will be that you could immerse yourself in 3D and it would be like being in the same room at the same time with people. But there's a lot greater significance to this. This is baby steps. But I say, I spoke about this 3 years ago. I explained my wife and I bought some land in the metaverse. Our plot at the moment is the equivalent of a Texas field in the middle of nowhere, and there's tumbleweed blowing down it. But you never know in the future; it may just be a thing. And if you're familiar with where this is leading, and you've got 2 minutes to write it in the box, then feel free to do so. So I am going to show you. For always, I talk about joining the dots. We look at what's coming next, and we try to plan for it, and we look for A, how to protect what we've got, and B, how we can profit from what's coming next. And I'm going to show you some opportunities today that will be high risk, not something that you would want to put huge amounts of money in. But one of the opportunities I looked at this morning is a potential 6,000% growth to the all-time high. The best performing crypto we had in 2020-21 was Cardano, and the ticker is ADA, and that went up 6,000%. We bought it at 5 cents and it went up to $3. So last week, the theme of what I was talking about was retiring and forget this. We've all been pre-programmed with this thing where just put money in the S&P for the next 40 years, and if you're lucky, you will retire. If you didn't see that, then I would recommend you have a look. And if you go into the members area and you scroll down the page a little, if you go to this investing corner and click this, it takes you into all my old posts. And this was the article last week about retiring. And I say we've all been force-fed and brainwashed in just put money in your IRA or your pension, wherever you are in the world, and just don't try time the market. Bullshit. Because of course the funds make the money by you putting the money in there. When the crash came along in 2007, 2008, they lost 50, 60% of the value and they still charged you on the way down. And if you were still in it on the way back up again. So this was all about learning to look after yourself, thinking differently, thinking outside the box. And you've got the tools to do this. And I have been sharing this with you in more detail since 2020 in terms of crypto, gold, and all the rest of it. And you may feel you're too late. And I did show you last week a friend of mine's account, and I explained how I was managing that for him. And he, despite yesterday when everything crashed, his account was fine. His stocks are up another 10% on last week, and I'll show you those again in a moment. Ashley's going to show you his wife's account. He and I met in the summer, and his wife, Mafilla, lovely lady, she was saying she likes gold and Indian heritage. So Indian heritage, it's obligatory you like gold, but she was asking me about stocks. So Ashley is managing her portfolio on that, and Ashley and I are looking to trade stocks as we showed you last week as well. So all kinds of things we're going through. So in here, I talked about looking at alternatives, different ways of thinking, different ways of investing. And I also gave you some tips, and Ashley has updated them in the forum. If you go to the forum here and you go down to the bottom into everything else, he updated you. And one of the tips I gave you last week, not financial advice because I'm not licensed anywhere, is I think it was Mara, and it went up 30 odd percent within a couple of hours of the presentation. So pay attention. And Ashley kindly here has updated it. So I think Galaxy went up, and Galaxy went up 30 odd percent as well in a matter of a few weeks. Yesterday, when I turned on the computer, and I'll show you that as well in a second, the everything was red in the crypto world, but I knew straight away what was going on because what went up, what goes up if crypto and riskier assets go down? What is it that will go up? Yes, says Mark. Gold. He's on fire this morning. Gold, silver as well. I have twice as much silver as gold. Marcus says, read Peter F. Hamilton to get an idea where this will be going to. Okay, there's a tip there from Marcus. We'll have a look at that in a minute. So this was the update I did on that. Now, the other thing is what I was talking about last week is retiring. I am retiring from private coaching. I am not retiring from Forex Mentor Pro. The reason I am retiring from private coaching is that my income now the tax situation has changed significantly here in Portugal. And now I am getting hammered at 48% plus 11% social security. And it also means that my investments will be taxed as income. So everything, basically 60% goes to the government. So I am not going to play. It does not mean I'm stopping doing this. I am sat here on a Tuesday morning again. I do not get paid for this anyway, because the money that comes in for Forex Mentor Pro goes to pay for the overhead. It will not change. I will still be contributing here, and I will be still doing the investing site for two or three reasons. One reason is I'm doing all the analysis anyway. Secondly, I mentally want to keep active, and we have, where's he gone? Hilton with us today in the north of England, and Hilton is a lot older than me, and I had the pleasure of talking to him earlier this year, and he's as sharp as a tack. And part of the reason why he joined us 15 years ago was mentally to keep active, and it is proven that if you keep active, you're more likely to live longer and healthier. So that's the thing. And the final thing is, I do enjoy trying to help people and genuinely want to try to get as many of you to be financially independent or financially literate as possible without it costing you a fortune. Julian says, great, your analysis is much appreciated. Appreciate it. Thanks, Julian. So last week, go back through this article. I explained all the ins and outs of it. And if you're going down the conventional route, how you're going to get screwed. Certainly, if you are thinking of coming up to retirement in the next 20 years, then I don't think government pensions will exist anymore. And certainly for my wife's 10 years younger than me. When we left and we went to Spain 25 years ago, I still continued to pay in my social security contributions in the UK until I got to the maximum, which was 35 years. So you get a full British pension. And I was paying in 600 and some pounds a year. And the benefit with that is it's now about 12,000 pounds a year. So the risk reward was good. They just had to live past 65. And the return was great. Now, for my wife, who's 10 years younger than me, I think that for her, retirement age will be 75. So it's gonna move up another 7, 8 years because all the governments are broken, they can't afford it. And the other thing is, what they will pay out will be less, and they're now going to tax it, and inflation's eating it away. So she and I are doing something differently to prepare for her for retirement rather than going the government way and pouring more money in for the hope that they might have a pension. And again, with Ashley's in his late 20s, and I said to him, there's pointless paying in huge amounts for it because it won't exist, and handing it over even to a pension company. My returns on my personal private pension that's been frozen in the UK for 25, my performance is way above the funds, and I'm not having to pay them a management fee, and I'm not having to pay them if they lose money as well as. Dan says, I'd like to retire in 10 years. Going to have to start learning the investing ropes now. Yep, it's all here, Dan. A lot of what I have been teaching you for the last 5 years is all in this particular blog. Now, this is the account I showed you last week. This is a live account for a friend of mine. And I explained last week, he came to me with, oh, I always forget, 110,000 and said, okay, what can we do? And we missed the rebound from the Trump blink in April. So we missed that. This is the portfolio I created for him in May, on the 6th of May. And in the UK, you can put 20,000 a year in at the moment, and the returns are tax-free, which is great. There is a budget next month where I'm sure they're going to start screwing with that as well. Now, last week, this was the profit on open trades. But this is if we closed everything, last week it was at 31,571, and I'll show you in a moment where we are today. So even though everything was down yesterday, because this is balanced with crypto and mining stocks, so the crypto stuff went down yesterday, but the mining stocks shot up because of gold and silver, then he's actually up again in a week. And what we did is we put 30,000 into gold and silver bullion through Bullion Vault. We put 40,000 into crypto, which was up last week 40 something percent. Today is down at 30%. But bottom line is it's all balanced. So if everything collapses, then the theory goes we should be okay with gold and silver. But again, you might say, oh, well, it's too late now. I had somebody else came to me the other day and it was on about, should I be buying gold and silver and miners that you've been banging on for years? Well, yes, but it's all-time highs. And therefore, for me, I'm not comfortable with doing that. But anyway, Ashley in a little while will show you what he's been doing with his missus. And we also showed last week, Ashley and I are testing some funded accounts for stocks as well. And we are looking and thinking in terms of day trading as well as the long-term investing. And the good thing about it is all M2. So none of this changes anything that you are learning. And Dan's saying he wants to retire in 10 years. Well, if you're going to want to retire in 10 years down or 5 or 20, depending on your age and what you want, you need a plan. You need to take some action and you need to educate yourself. And we do our best, but you really seriously need to think about getting, spend some money. But more important than spending money, spend time. Basically, there's full courses in here on crypto. And if you take the time to go through my investing analysis blog, going back the last 4 or 5 years when I was talking about gold and silver, why I was getting into it then, it is all there. But people can't find the time to watch any video that's more than 30 seconds long these days because we've all got the attention span of a fly. Dan says, how am I doing with my options trading? Do you teach it? I don't teach it, Dan. I'm not experienced enough to do it. I am finding options to be very interesting and profitable. And the benefit for that is, let me share Andy's account with you. So but remember this. So this was at 31,300, I think, last week. Where's he gone? 31,570 it was last week, a week ago when I was with you. And today, ta-da, it is at 34,000. So even though yesterday seemed like a carnage day, it's gone up 10% in a week. And it's now up, somebody work it out for me, 67, 68% from 20,000 deposited in May. The balance today, if we closed it all out, would be 34,000. So somebody can work that out for me. And again, I explained all of this last week and the balance of it, and you've got in here some quantum computing. You've got a lot of mining stocks, lots of gold and silver mining stocks, explained all of that. And we've also got the Bitcoin mining stocks, as well as a bit of healthcare. And this one is going to be for tokenized gold. That one, I think last time I spoke, I was saying to you, I got out of it on a personal level, I think. And then we'd set a stop on here for Andy's and it didn't get taken out. We did get one taken out yesterday that I was getting fed up with. Still think it's got the potential, but it was. I thought we got taken out. Where's he gone? Trade view full history. No, don't know where it's gone. This figure actually here is weird in IG as well. When it shows this is not the loss. That is the amount you paid, I believe, to buy in. So that's not a loss that's showing. Anyhow, that's what we've been doing. It's all been explained in there. I am not retiring from doing this for all the reasons I've just explained. And on the subject of retirement, Rich has retired, but I had a good chat with him yesterday. And what Rich has been doing, Rich is 10, 12 years older than me. And he has retired basically from running membership sites and the hassle of websites and maintaining and keeping all the balls juggled and in the air. But he has not retired from private coaching. And so he's also going to be more present with us. And he's also now, because he's got rid of all the overhead, he's going to revise his prices significantly down. So if anybody's been umming and ahhing and wants private coaching with Rich for the psychological side of things, he's there. If not, again, there's loads and loads of videos and things going back in here. It's not been contributing too much of late, but there's loads of things going back here and set scores and all the rest of it. And psychology is equally as important when it comes to trading and investing. And the reason why I'm rabbiting on about this now is Dan's asked the question about options. What I've found with options is that I am not selling puts. Selling puts is to create a premium every week. I don't like that because the risk if it goes against you can be significant. I don't want to play at that. All I am doing is buying calls, which means basically I am betting that something is going to go up, and I am buying puts, which is betting something will go down. And that's all I'm doing at the minute. So I certainly can't teach it because I'm no expert on it at all. I did recommend in the past, there's 3 books I've recommended. There's a series by a guy called Travis Wilkerson, aka Trader Travis. And they're very good books and simplify things. There's a lot of fluff in there about his background and how he got to where he was, etc. I read it through once and went through the whole thing, and I've actually gone through it again yesterday, last few days, and there's probably about 20 pages in each book that are the real nub of it. But I do find that the guy's very good at explaining it on a simplistic level. So he's worth following. But going back to my performance with the options, so I started buying options in March, April time, and I was buying them with a December date. And so if I get the direction right, unlike with the Forex trade where you get the direction right, the damn thing comes down and takes your stop and then goes exactly as you planned. And there's John sat here with us today. I was talking to John last week. He'd gone on holiday to France, and I was telling you, He'd put two trades on gold and completely forgot about them. Got back to the UK, turned his computer on, and had he stayed in those trades, he would have made 150 grand on a demo, unfortunately. But the power of doing nothing. And we're in a bull market. We know that we want to buy gold. The advantage with options is that you give yourself time. So even if there's a mini crash or something happens today, like yesterday, if everything was going down in gold, oh, it's the end, that's the top, and the doom and the gloom, it doesn't matter. Now I am buying options with dates of March of next year. So again, I am giving myself time. And with options, I currently own some stocks in miners on top of the stocks I own because it gives you the leverage of 100 stocks. And I have some quantum computing and I have some cannabis stocks. And the cannabis stocks, particularly, when I showed you Andy's account last week, we made £6,000, which was great. At one point, it was up 10, but by using CFDs, we got taken out in the end. Whereas with options, you don't. So options definitely, it's something I've been learning. It's been taking me time, but now I'm not going to do as much private coaching anymore. I'm going to have the time to focus. And the main thing of all of this is focus. We all need to focus because we all tend to drift through life. We get distracted with stuff. I am one of the worst. And social media being one of them, particularly, I have started a new Twitter account and it's just got a few people that I follow who are talking about options and talking about stocks and general and things like that. And that's all I've got on it because my Twitter feed that I use for FMP, where we post, is designed to annoy me and it's designed to hook me. And this is not a pick on X Twitter, they're all the same. And there was a really good documentary a few years ago, and my wife and I last night were trying to remember the name of it. There were two or three guys, all were top people in. One was from Facebook, one was from Twitter, and I think there's one from another big social media company. And they were all saying how they'd banned their kids from using it, and they were explaining how the algorithm works. And it's fairly easy to know. If you are pro-Trump, then 75% of your feed is going to be pro-Trump, but 25% of it is going to be designed to annoy the hell out of you. And so what I was doing, I was reading Twitter on a morning under the guise of, well, I need it for work. And then I would, last thing at night, flick through Twitter. And it meant I was getting up angry and I was going to bed angry. And I don't need it. So I say I've created a completely separate one. I started when I go for a walk, I don't take my phone because, like everybody else, I'm addicted to the phone. I sit down in a cafe and I don't sit and particularly talk with anybody. I just get the phone out and off we go. So trying to break habits, trying to focus more is a big thing for me. Right. So yesterday, remember, this is what I use every day. So I turned it on yesterday. I actually was pointing out on Sunday that was the dollar about to turn back up? No, it hasn't, as it's turned out. Trump doesn't want a strong dollar. And so yesterday, this was up. Gold was up 1%. It's up another 1% today and against the pound. So it's not just a weak dollar. And silver up again. Oh, Craig, it's gone up yet again this morning. Well, actually, I'd moved it once already. So silver today is up another 0.5%. And in here, the crypto dropped significantly. Hey, it's a buying opportunity. Ethereum has bounced yesterday at the major area of previous support and resistance. If I was going to buy Ethereum, I can buy it at a discount yesterday, and it's 20% higher 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. But of course, fear comes in again. Oh, crap, do I buy it or do I hope it comes back down here? Potentially, there's a buy. Bitcoin versus Ethereum. Bitcoin has started to turn back up against Ethereum. It broke the trend line I showed you last week. I think it was last week. I had a trend line in here. It's broken. It started to turn back up again. Solana. I really like Solana. Solana is now my third biggest holding. The reason why it's the third biggest holding because I was buying it way down here in a consolidation phase. Then we had an M2 breakout. And I also shared with you one of my charts. I was telling folks in the investing group and talking to you guys when it was back down here in the spring and early summer. And the last buy I think I did was 164. Actually, no, I said to folks the other week at 180 I would be a buyer. Solana now is becoming the third largest project anyway, and then some of the others that I am heavily involved in. And then yesterday, my mining stocks were a sea of green, but my other stocks were down. And that's the way it balances, and that's the way I've set this up. So for my holdings, gold and silver up, miners significantly up. AG, this is what I was saying earlier. For somebody now saying to me, should I be buying mining stocks now? Well, AG yesterday came up to this line that I've had in here for months and months and months and months, because this area here is a major area of resistance, and it's overbought, and it's a chaotic move. And what do I do? Well, I was buying down here. It's up 120%. Probably take 20% out. And that's to do not because I think it's going to stop, but you would imagine it's going to pull back. And on top of which, you need to rebalance, because sometimes you end up with too big a gap. But all of these went nuts again yesterday, which was great because my crypto came down 10%. Okay, so that's all of that that's going on there. Now, Andy's today, as just shown, is at 34,000, and I've shown you the breakdown of those. These are, I was looking through my accounts. I spent over $2,000 last year on research papers and following other people. And these are people I follow on Substack. And I find Substack to kind of be a bit more, it's less social side, and it's more of an it's more of a specific and an intelligent community, shall we say, in general. Pristine Capital, I just paid annually for this 250. He doesn't do much. He doesn't do many trades at all, and he spends ages and ages and ages doing research. And if you want him to day trade, he's not the one to follow. But he was the one that pointed me in the direction of the cannabis trades, from which my daughter, Andy, and one of my high net worths I work with, we probably made 40 grand out of it, and I personally have made about 20 grand out of it. So it's the best $250 I spent last year. So that's that one. This is new, and I'm just testing at the moment. This is more looking at day trading, and to be honest, I haven't had time to look at it. This guy, I like this guy, does a lot of really good research on China, of which I know beggar all, so I've just started following him. Alistair McLeod, I've been following him for a long time. I know this guy from years ago. He does very good research about gold and silver and explains about all the rigmarole that goes on. And he's in his 70s, been doing it all his life. This one, I'm not really into dividend stocks because it's just the normal 33 or 4, but I kind of look for an alternative point of view. And then I resubscribed the other day to various other ones. So again, this thing, you've got to spend money to be able to educate yourself. So, ta-da! Why Meta rebranded in 2021? Because of the aforementioned metaverse. And this was the explanation. But I mean, what is Meta as a company? What do Meta make money from? Yes, they own Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, but what are they really as a company? Exactly, Dan. They're an advertising company. And so this today was the ad link that I got for the from Instagram. And this is talking about these spectacles now. So I can put this in the chat box actually for everyone. Oh no, I can't. I can only send it to panelists. But I'll put the link in the post. But in here, it's explaining some of the things that you can do with these glasses. And if you scroll down, oh, sorry, no, this was the original one. So this is why these Ray-Bans are so significant today, because prior to this, to be immersed in the metaverse, you need this lot. Well, yes, these are more sophisticated than the Ray-Bans are at the moment, but you'd look a tool walking down the street with one of these on and be bumping into trees, and B, they're not really very practical in all-day life, whereas now this was off their page from a few years ago, I think, where it was, this is where we are today, and this is why this becomes very interesting and exciting. And I showed you earlier, I mean, you look really cool with these on. So not only are you looking really cool, you're now in the modern world. But it's explaining on here what's going on and the relevance of it. So, for example, this little video clip is saying if you're walking down the street My wife and I like to go to new cities and visit and historical cities. If I say, hey, what's that building over there? Then AI, Meta, will answer and tell you what's going on. So that's one benefit that you've got from it. You can take photos, you can video. So he's got the video camera on now. So it could be that it's for watching pretty girls or boys as you're walking down the street. But clearly, if you're at a concert or whatever, instead of having to hold your phone up, you could do it. More relevant things, you can also play music on them. You can answer the phone, talk on the phone, and then if, for example, here's a cool one. If I was talking to somebody and wanting to show them something, well, here they're doing it in a recording studio, but if I was saying to Ashley this morning, look, don't forget this screen here, what's going on, you can share what you are seeing in real time. So this is all really cool, but this is not where it's going. As we've just decided, Meta is an advertising company. And where the whole point of this is where we're going is to go into the metaverse. And this was from 2021. This is the bit, I think, Mana, with the lands that my missus and I own in Decentraland and own some of the tokens. The idea about all of this is that you would not need to leave home. And within the metaverse in Decentraland, if you go online, you will see the high streets. And so you could lay on your sofa, you don't need to go anywhere, and you can buy whatever you want. And if you find that you're getting a bit fat because you don't do your 10,000 steps a day because you don't need to leave your sofa, you take your Ozempic. Amazon will deliver food or anything else you need from a drone. That's the way it's going. But also with these Ray-Bans, the advantage of the Ray-Bans is you could be walking down the street now, and if we've been discussing something this morning about retirement, and you walk past a financial advisor who specializes in retirement, it will in the future pop up on your glasses and say, hey, Joe, there's such and such, there's a free consult, there's an opportunity now. Do you want to go talk to somebody? Or if you've been looking at buying something online and you're thinking of buying, whether it be a pair of trousers or a car, it will come up and it will say on your screen, hey, there's an offer in the next 30 minutes if you go into XYZ shop that you can get a discount. So there's the physical aspect of this, but the longer term view, if you think about it from a retailer's point of view, if you're one of the big retail companies, let's say Nike or whatever, that you have to sell, you have to have stores all over the world that cost you a fortune to run and staff and all the hassle and everything else. Well, hey, if we could get everybody buying online, you'd make a lot more money. Frank says, just like the movie Surrogates with Bruce Willis predicted the future 16 years ago. Okay. I mean, a lot of it, when you look at things that go on, Dan, there is a theory that they pre-program us to kind of warm us up for what's coming, in which case War of the Worlds will be a bit scary. Morning, Tobias. You're late.
Mark, I've added you as a co-host, so you can put the links in the chat box as
Okay.
well. Yeah.
While everyone else will be saving for the glasses, the M2 community will be buying Meta stocks. Yes, Alexi. Well, stocks is one of them. And then another one, I'm going to show you some crypto. So these crypto here, and I got this from here. This is from CoinDex, and I looked around as well. These are the best potential metaverse crypto coins in by market cap in 2025. And again, we'll share the links to this article. Now, I haven't had time to look at this in any depth as yet, but I am fortunate in that I already own some of them, some of them, some of that, some of that. Never heard of that. So I'm going to do a lot more research on this. And for those in my investing group, I will do a detailed update, hopefully by the weekend on this lot. But this is the kind of thing that if this is the way it's going, that I would be interested in and am interested in. This one, for example, this is Ape. The all-time high on Ape was $27 plus. And this one, from where we are today at 53 cents, and this will have been the launch and the pump, and this was the peak and then the dump. But to go back to the peak, the all-time high, that will be 3,000% gain. Not bad. This one, Atlas, 6,000% gain. So my thinking will be, okay, if you put 100 bucks in each of these, and I'm not financial advice, and this is highly risky, and it may take a year or two to get going. And of the 10 that I'm showing you, probably three or four will fall by the wayside. But there is the potential for this, for the all-time high, to go up 3,700. Oh, yeah, I did it earlier. It said 6,000. Hang on. It's currently at 0.0008 cents. And I'm sure when I did it earlier, it's 6,000% growth. Now, technically, we have not broken the trend line, but I showed you all this last week. So the conservative approach to this is you put a trend line on, you wait for the EMAs to break, and you get in. So you could get in up here, which would be more conservative, and that would be 120% higher. But when I look to the left on here, this was a major consolidation area. I don't know if this project is any good or being used at the moment. So that's my caveat with this. But going back to this one, we have got a market cap of 18 and a half. Is that million or billion? I never can work out with the
It's
numbers.
million.
Million. Circulating supply 20.68 billion. So there's far too many tokens floating about. It's a nonsense, but it just might make you a significant amount. So I am going to have a word with my mate Andy, who likes a bit of a punt. He's the one who I'm managing the money for, and say, look, I would be tempted to put €1,000 into this, and let's put 100 in each. That's very, very speculative, and they are all technically at a low, but they are all in a consolidation area. And this all-time high on this one was 164 and is currently down at $2. Engine, I own some of this. In the hole on this one, I bought it probably in here, bought it there, bought more there. I just held it because I didn't put vast amounts in, probably bought some more in here. But look, it's consolidating. Not technically an M2 breakout. Floki is at a very more interesting stage, and this is one that I don't know anything about. So we've got a triangle, we've got the EMAs, etc. We're at the bottom of the triangle now, and it's 0.00. It's a ridiculously ridiculous. You get a lot. You get a lot for your 100 bucks for sure. That's 1,000, no, 300% to its high. But this type of pattern that I've just shown you here, if you recall, I was talking earlier about ADA, Cardano, and Cardano was the one that went up from 5 cents to $3 last time. And this is the one that I was buying last year in this consolidation phase. And then this was the Trump break I showed with you the other week, and that went up 200% in 3 weeks. So these kind of areas, much more speculative, but when we are getting down to these really low levels, then I think it's worth a go, is my thinking. So just something for you to bear in mind. I can't remember now which flipping list I've got this saved on. Can anybody remember which list I was on a minute ago? Um, oh dear me, I torture myself with stuff like this. Where was I? Why fell his fang for it? Can't remember. Anyway, I showed you the 10. I showed you my reasons for thinking that it's worth a punt, in my opinion, for me, not financial advice, highly risky, but it's there. It's a potential, so something for you to consider. Um, on the subject of this being slumped on your couch and putting weight on and just ordering everything through the internet, there was quite a scary study released the other day, and this is an MIT study, although it's not been peer reviewed yet. But they're talking about if you're using AI for everything, how your brain deteriorates rapidly. And apparently, I did read this in more detail a few weeks ago and then forgot about it. But they think that it has the potential for long-term cognitive decay. And what they're saying is as well, this is why I say to people, when we say to you, write out a business plan, do not just go blindly copy somebody else's. Do not just get ChatGPT to do it, because what they're saying in this study is that you can't remember what was written because you didn't have any emotional connection with it. You just got ChatGPT to write it for you. So basically, it's not gone into your long-term memory. But this is something that we all need to be aware of. And I tell the story. In my 30s, I had I had a business partner who was in his 40s at the time. I used to be able to remember the phone number, including the area codes, for probably 100 people. And because he would say to me, rather than having to look in a Rolodex, crikey, show my age, and trying to find the number, he would say, Paul in Burnley, and I would reel it off. Now, I don't know my wife's phone number. I don't know any of my family's number. I can't actually remember my Portuguese phone number. I have to look it up every time because that part of my brain is not needed anymore because it's all been handled by the phone, but it is meaning that you are deteriorating mentally. So we all need to be careful about where all this lot's taking us. So something to think about. I'd look at that. Ashley's going to show you this. This is the video that how to use that platform that Ashley was showing us last week. He's been testing it. I am almost given up on the crypto trading funded because if you want to day trade, then it has its uses, but I just haven't the time or more importantly, I haven't got the inclination to sit there and do it. I think I was at 10,600 this last week. I think I'm at 10,200 now, but it's hard work. You do need to keep your eye on it all the time. Okay. Right, Ashley, I've left you 20 minutes. I think that you might have needed a bit more than that.
That
And
should be fine.
Khaled says, are we seeing the break and retest in Mara Holdings? Mara Holdings. Yeah, it did it yesterday, Khaled. I mean, last week I said, well, 2 weeks ago, I said to you in the live training session, and it's back in the blog, I said there that I would be a buyer, and that went up 26% over the last 10 days. And what I was explaining here technically is not a normal M2 trade for me, but this is consolidation. This is the second biggest holder of Bitcoin. They mine Bitcoin and they are profitable. And then I talked about it again last week, and I think Ashley bought some for his wife last week. So here, and that went up 16% in a matter of days. But that was the retest yesterday, for sure. But again, I was buying these down here for fundamental reasons more than technical.